Gen Z is a lot less going out at night than any other generation. Like, for example, if you compare the amount of money spent for any generation on alcohol, you can see that we spend a lot less than any generation. It can be the millennials, the Gen X's, the boomers. We spend a lot less than any of them on alcohol. And this is the symptom of nightlife dying. And some people might say it's great because nightlife is kind of toxic, or some others might say it's not great because people socialize less. It's kind of this debate of saying whether or not it's the cause or the consequence of people being depressed and socially anxious. But the only thing we are sure of is that this generation is a lot less going out at night. So we might ask ourselves, why? Why are Gen Z not going out? What's explaining this trend? And that is what we are going to see in this video, why people are a lot less going out at night, especially young men right now, than in the previous generations. So let's get this first thing out of the way, social medias and the technology, the phones. A lot of people are going to blame social medias or the phone for not going out. Like, people are addicted to their phone, they like to watch other people's lives instead of living their own life. And this is kind of a valid argument, so I'm not going to lie. It's not the only one. It's just that it's pretty obvious that with social medias, people don't really live their own life anymore. They kind of live this fake life of identifying yourself within some other guy's life, you know. And that is pretty toxic, but that is something that just appeared ever since 2010 when Facebook and YouTube were made. Well, that's how it went after that, you know. It's a new problem, but it's not the only one. One sure thing is that with social medias, people are more and more scared to do certain actions, you know? Like, you see these videos on TikTok or on Instagram of these Gen Alpha dudes, like, they are in middle school or high school and they just post one guy because he's kind of weird or he has a cringe behavior, you know? And you see that, and it makes you fear for your life, you know? You can just make one bad move when a phone is filming you, and your social life is kind of over, you know? After that, you just become the cringe guy from TikTok, you know? And you have this etiquette that you have to wear for your entire life. So this might be why people are kind of scared to go outside more at the moment than before. Because with social medias, for example, you know, there is always one story like that. If you've went to a nightclub, almost every time there is a story of a girl that says she was like assaulted or one guy was kind of too physical with her. And you see a story from the guy, it was either the guy is like saying, no, I didn't do anything, yeah, I didn't even want to touch this girl in the first place or whatever, and the physical interaction was kind of involuntarily, or sometimes it's even worse, it's like the guy and the girl were really like a couple or whatever, the girl is just trying to gaslight everyone, and you know, this is kind of something that is very scary, you know, for young men. You see these people, they are just getting rejected in one night and everybody knows their name, and that kind of toxic culture might be why you become kind of scared, because people are going to film you out and spread misinformation about you just for clout. And I guess you have the right to be scared about that. This might explain why nightclubs are dying, you know, because every time you go to a nightclub, as I said, there is gonna be like one girl and one guy fighting for nothing. So yeah, while we are at it, let's talk about women in general. It's not an issue with women and what they are, but it's just a fact that women don't need men anymore. At least they need men that are a lot above them. Like, there was a time where women would want just to be with a guy and the guy just had to protect her, and this was kind of his role, you know, and there was not a lot more that he had to do. Nowadays, there are so many different criterias. Like, you ask an average girl, like a 5 or 6, what she wants her man to do, he has to make like the big 6 figures, 6 inches, and 6 foot. And you're like, what the hell? This is like 5% of men. In Gen Z, it's It's probably even less than 5% of men. I don't know, it's it's kind of completely weird and completely outrageous, you know? They have such expectations and it's not even their own faults, you know? It's because nowadays a woman can just work the same as a man and make the exact same salary. So, of course, she's not gonna be attracted to a guy that is making the same salary and that is on the same level as her, you know? There is always the need for a guy to be kind of dominant on something, you know? If it's not the salary, it's gotta be like your height or whatever. And yeah, the issue is that nowadays a lot of guys give too much attention to women and they think they're on a pedestal because they are. And that is the issue. Because with that, they are going to act like they want so much more. They will pretty much not do anything and wait for a chat to appear rather than just get with a mid guy, you know? Because if a mid girl can have the attention of 100 mid guys, why would she want a mid guy? And this is the consequence of both women becoming independent financially and also social medias boosting their egos in the second place. So yeah, there is an issue also with that, which is why a lot of guys don't really want to go to the nightclubs anymore. Because if you're a mid-looking guy and you're not even tall, you're going to a nightclub and you're pretty much you're not gonna be rejected by everyone, but I don't know, you're gonna be ignored, you know, like it's like you don't really exist because women at nightclubs they only see the guys that are above everyone in height, you know, it's a lot based on height, and that is a reason why men stop going to nightclubs. Also, I said in the introduction that people are drinking less and less, but we don't really know why people are drinking less and less. My guess is that in the first place, it's that people have seen what it does to you, you know, the long-term consequences of alcohol on boomers, Gen X's, and millennials, you know? Like, you act stupid and you can do ridiculous things under the influence of alcohol. And also, on the long term, it's very bad for your health. You become fat, you know, and there are a lot of other things. But I don't think this is the main reason why people stop drinking. I think one of the main reasons why people stopped drinking is because nowadays they have newer addictions. Nowadays people smoke, they scroll on social media, they watch pornography, they do a lot of other things, you know, so they feel less the need to get drunk. It's not like before where the only legal thing you could do was smoking and drinking. Nowadays it's like anyone can get weed or whatever, even in the places where it's illegal, you know, like people can just easily get some. Or like there is the porn addiction, you know, social medias, pornography, video games, and yeah, I think with all of these addictions, people feel less the envy to go out and drink. And also, one more thing I'm going to add to why people don't really go outside nowadays, why Gen Z is kind of staying at home or staying isolated and nightlife is dying, is that the demographics have shifted, you know? When boomers were young, they just had almost the entire society that were their age, you know. The average age for a boomer when they were growing up probably was like 25, 30. Nowadays, the average age in the country is like 50. It's 40 or 50, I'm not even sure about this one, but in a lot of Western countries, it's about 40 or 50, which means there are a lot less people of your age. I mean, of course, the population is increasing, so of course, a lot more people are of your age, but in terms of percentage, in terms of proportions, there are a lot less people of your age than there are boomers or Gen X's or millennials, you know? And that might be one of the reasons. Also, all of the Gen Z live in the few big cities because that's where there is all the work, you know, there is the main economy, you know, like New York, Seattle, or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. First of all, these cities they are expensive, and second of all, if you're not in these cities, you are probably living in a place where 90% of the population isn't even your age, you know. So it's complicated to socialize when most people are not even your age. And even in the bars and the nightclubs, I see that, you know, I see a lot more millennials or Gen X's in the bar than Gen Z, or at least not a lot more, but at least the same proportion, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing a few points about, I don't know, maybe the economy is part of why people don't go out. But yeah, I think I've said almost everything I could think of by saying, you know, the social media as the women changing their mindsets towards men, the alcohol, you know, people drinking less alcohol and having other addictions, and the demographic shift. If I missed any points, I don't know, just tell me in the comments. But I think those are all I had to say. Maybe tell me in the comments what was your latest time going out, like really going out late at night and drinking with friends. Because I feel like to a lot of people it will be a long time ago, while before it used to be very frequent. Nowadays it's kind of rare. I don't know, it's you don't really have the opportunity to go outside as much as the previous generations. That was what I was trying to say. So comment when was the last time you went to a nightclub, for example, and tell me what was your experience, and I'll see you in the next one.